Sometimes statement may not be clear, but there is always a deeper understanding. It is not just about the who said what. The whens, hows, and wheres are equally important. Join me on a whole new journey in the conversation with Augustus as I bring you discussions from religion to politics, health to economy, humanity to social activities, among many others. Conversation with Augustus knows no foreign borders. The show comes to you every Wednesday at 6:15 p.m. GMT on our YouTube channel Conversation with Augustus and on Radio Angelus www.radioangelus.com. This program is sponsored by Safe Life Experience Consult Limited. Contact them for all your travel and tour needs, as well as your events. Welcome to Conversation with Augustus Akins. And today I am privileged to have with me Reverend Father Erick Nkama, originally from my home Archdiocese of Accra, Ghana. Father Erick is an SVD priest, the Society of Divine Word Missionaries. Those of you may be familiar with the congregations of the Catholic Church. When you're talking about the history of the Catholic Church in Ghana, after the SMA came, they handed over to the SVDs, who did marvelously well. Due to the nature of their work, so many young men had the desire to become priests. Among these young men is Reverend Father Erick Nkama, who is originally from St. Margaret Mary, Dansoman. Father has worked for some years now in a very, let me say, how do I put it? Not that developed and not that, when it comes to the economic strength of that country, maybe I may say that Ghana is a bit better when it comes to the economical strength of countries compared to where he is working. And I know you are wondering, you're asking, what country is this? Looking at the economy of Ghana, and you're saying Ghana's economy is even better than someone's economy. I'm not doing politics yet, please. So let me just go and say that Father is working in Papua New Guinea. I myself, at first, I thought Papua New Guinea was part of Africa. But doing my research, I realized that Papua New Guinea is not part of Africa. It is somewhere in the Oceania region. If I'm wrong, Father would correct me. Father Erick Nkama, you're most welcome to the Conversation with Augustus.
Thank you, Augustus.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well by the grace of God.
We thank God. So, Father, let me just ask you this. How many years have you been working in Papua New Guinea?
I came as a student when I finished my novitiate in Ghana. I came to Papua New Guinea in 2008 to complete my formation. So I did 4 years in the seminary here, CTI, in the capital, they call it Bomana. So at the end of the formation, I went back home for ordination in 2013. So I came back in 2014 to start my mission work. So from 2014 up to now, 2024 is almost 10 years now.
The 10 years is just your priestly life. If you should add
Exactly.
the extra, I think 3 or 4 years to it, it is almost 14
5
or
years or
5 years.
15
Yeah, so
years.
15 years. What's the national language of Papua New Guinea?
All right. The national language is English because they were colonized by the Australians, so it's English.
Okay.
But then they have this mixed language developed during the plantation era. So what it is called now is top piecing. Okay, top piecing. Now it is two words put together. The top means English talk. Piecing
Okay.
means bed. So it's like talking bed.
Talking back. Okay.
So
Okay.
the language is a mixture of English and then basically it's English. Then a bit of German, a bit of French, and then a bit of their local language too. But
Wow.
basically, the base is English. So if you speak English, it's easier to learn it.
Wow.
And maybe just to add it on, back home we have our broken English that we speak.
The PG, yeah.
The pidgin. Now it is similar to it, but what the difference here is that this top piecing has grammar. It is not free that you can speak like we have our pidgin back home.
I'm so eager to hear if you can give me top PG some a bit of words or sentencing. And I just want to hear how it sounds.
Good morning on you, Augustus. Me yamamas on you asking me on talk one time you on this time on sharing experience below me one time you on work mission below me on here Papua New Guinea one time on Nara Plaman Mary on world.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Can you translate it for us?
Basically, it's thank you for inviting me to share my experience of mission work here with the rest of the world.
Beautiful. That's good. Okay. So diving into our conversation further, what actually made you desire to become a Catholic priest?
I grew up with saying, mommy and daddy were separated. So I saw I grew up with a lot of suffering. So I lived through that. And one thing that developed or kind of during those times, I just had this passion to help. I'm just available. I just like to help. So it was this seed that was in me, the desire to help. But it wasn't like to put this in action to serve humanity. So at schools and home, sharing food, helping friends with the assignment and everything. And even Andy, who introduced me to you, also has a very good experience with that.
In fact, Andy is our disappointed priest.
We have to. We really have to. We have to pull his ears for that.
Yes.
Okay. So then, what developed into the vocation was I joined the Legion of Mary.
Okay.
When I was in secondary school, and also with Andy. Andy actually invited me to join the Legion of Mary, and that this what the Legion of Mary, they have work apostolate. So in Pope John, we have the hospitals that we visit and then clean up, and that was it. I mean, seeing the sick people, I was like, wow. I mean, my heart was, there was some fire. I was feeling some fire in my heart to be of service in this way to humanity.
Were you at any point in time an altar server?
Of course, I was in the parish.
Many of us who were once altar servers, as young as we were, when we were asked, oh, what will you become when you grow up? I'll become a priest. I'll become a priest. I'll become a priest. It was on our lips. Then when we started growing and then our body started developing, seeing the muscles and then seeing other part of life, majority of us decided, okay, fine, maybe priesthood is not my calling. Someone as far as even to the minor seminary, getting some experiences of how to become a good priest, which actually shaped their lives when they turned to the other vocation of marriage. And you realize that most of us, or most young men, will say, I would want to become a priest. But at a certain point in life, no, it stops. And then they take the other vocation. But for you, you still had that desire. So I believe there was a connecting link which kept you from, which kept you on track, not to lose the desire of becoming who you had told yourself you would become at that very tender age. And when you grew up and knew a lot of things, still you decided to stick to the vocation of priesthood. What is that thing that made the desire intact from the beginning? And still you're alive, so I will not say to the end, but to the end in becoming a priest.
Yeah. Like I said, the desire to help, but I didn't grow up with the desire to become a priest. I wanted to become a pilot.
Oh, so you didn't have that desire of those like Andy and Co who had the desire of becoming.
No. Let me just I wanted to become a pilot, but there was this attraction as well, but it wasn't a consideration. The main thing was to become a pilot.
Okay.
So I did science. It was my last year, okay, that the call or the vocation to the priesthood came, okay. But in the background, like I said earlier, being of help, okay, that is the main thing. Otherwise, there's nothing I would say. I just have the desire to be of help to people. That is being of service. So, like I said earlier on, when I joined the Legion and then we visit the hospitals and then the infirmary and then we are serving the brothers, then it was like, oh, I could put this to the service of humanity, okay? Then it took on a broader view, okay? But the vocation to the priesthood came much earlier, much later. Much later. Okay. That was in my last year in my in secondary school. Yeah.
Okay, that's very beautiful.
We also visited, back then in Pope John, we made some pilgrimage to Agbonohoy. What was the name again?
Yeah, Agbonohoy. Yeah.
The Grotto of
Okay. Yeah.
Agbonohoy. Yeah, that also sowed the seed. I mean, that the aura, okay, and being of service, doing something for God, and that was it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, talking about your priestly life, your vocation to the priesthood, actually reminds me of some of us who said, "Oh, we'll become a priest," but God has His own way, and we thank God for the Catholic formation processes, which are very intense and very good. And I want to use this opportunity actually to thank our bishops and our priests, and especially our leaders, the young leaders who took it upon themselves to go through the formation process. Anyone who went through that formation process will testify to it, how strong and how well it has brought us. During the time of Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Pomabako, I remember that was when we had the NICEFOP program, which actually helped a lot of us, even not becoming priests. It has actually helped us to become much stronger. And Most Reverend John Bonaventure too is continuing the good work which Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Pamabaka started with his vocations directors like Father Hansen, Father Holu, Father John Amwa, and Father Osmond. Now I think it's Father Alphonse. Also.
Yes, yes.
So you, Father Teresa Cross, Hilary Agonasi, Marvin, and I think Duke were
Emmanuel Salifu.
Father Emmanuel Salifu, yes, my own brother from Tema. Emmanuel Salifu were you were all classmates.
I don't know why he's keeping Afro now.
I think Father Salifu, I think maybe when he was young, he was afraid to leave his hair. But when he grew up, so you guys grew up, and I've realized that you maintain that kind of friendship right from secondary school. Even Andy was part of your group. Yes. He did not become a priest, but I think the rest of you became priests, and that bond is still there. How were you able to nurture that unity from that tender age up to now? I see that kind of unity is still there.
Yes.
In most cases, you realize that when people start growing up, that is when division starts coming up. Oh, I want to become a doctor. Then you realize the other one wants to become an engineer. Then they split up. They only comes together maybe when school time off. But for your group, I realize that the intact is that what is that connection? What binds you together as at now?
First of all, the priesthood is fraternity.
Okay.
So once we are priests, there is that bonding. Secondly, because we have a common purpose, a common goal, common desire, this keeps us together. I don't know about the other friends like doctors and lawyers, whether they're able to keep their friendship, but in the priesthood, I think this is what I can say. The fraternity is what keeps us going. Once you are a priest, you are a brother to any other priest. It's automatic. It's like intrinsic part of the calling of the vocation.
Okay. So let me find out. When you decided to become a priest, you earlier made mention that you come from a broken home. How difficult was it for both parents to accept that, should our son become a priest? And before you answer that, were you the only son or were you the only child of your parents?
We are 3 boys for mommy, and I'm the eldest.
Oh, okay. So the others becoming a priest, the ones coming to help home, wants to become a priest. Tell us.
But even before I answer the question, and this was one of the challenge or one of the what I should say, like doubt what will happen. But I'm glad. I'm very happy today. My 2 brothers are doing very well. So there's not like a gap created so much. Like, well, I would say that there was an advantage in my case because of the separation. We grew up with money. My mom. So mommy is very religious, and it was not a problem for her. Actually, mommy too is Catholic. Daddy is not Catholic. So the whole idea was, welcome. Okay. But it was a bit of a surprise. Actually, she was looking up to the other 2 younger brothers, so either the second or the third. Okay. So later
they were more religious than you, if I should.
Yes. I have to tell you, all my friends, those at Dansoma, Margaret Mary, who knows us, they will say me, I'm a priest because of my mom.
Okay. Wow.
So you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was, because of the separation, Daddy was living separately and we were living with my mom. But when I had to make known to Daddy too. He didn't tell me he was not in favor, but later I heard that from my vocation director then, Brother Emmanuel Afum. He told me later that my daddy came over to Tesano, the vocation office or the vocation house there, to ask him a few questions and why he accepted me and processed everything. So it was like not in favor, but he didn't reject the idea. Unfortunately, he passed a year after I joined the seminary. I went to the seminary in 2003, and then he passed in 2004.
May you so rest in peace.
Amen.
So, apart from your father, who at a point he wasn't a Catholic, and looking at the celibacy surrounding the Catholic priest, he's not going to have any grandchildren from you. It made him ask questions about your priestly life. Let me ask you, apart from your father, did any of your siblings or any external family member
No.
tried in any way to? None. No one tried to stop you from becoming a priest.
Even when I was getting closer to ordination, this story came up to me that my great grandfather in Anyapko, he received the missionaries and then he was an altar boy. So it was like a tradition or kind of a fulfillment of.
For his good service too.
For my family, yeah, the mother's side, all Catholic. And you know, mommy grew up in Asalam Down, you know, Holy Spirit Cathedral. So
Cathedral, yeah. Oh, okay. Wow, Anyako, one of the popular places in Ghana. I think I know a lot of people come from Anyako, from the bottom. So, Father, let's look at this. From St. Victor's minor or major seminary in Tamale, right to New Papa Gate. The life, how were you able to transition as a young Ghanaian? And first of all, let me ask, did you ever desire? Okay, so before we answer these questions, let's go. Why not a diocesan priest, but rather a missionary, and SVD to be precise?
In your introduction, you made mention of the great works by the SVDs.
Yeah.
My parish priest was Father John Stratoff.
Wow, great man. Very great man.
And you know, there was this image, one funny story. When I was in secondary school, I never understood him when he speaks English. It was so fast. Everything was like that. But he was attractive, you know. And the way he held Margaret Mary, you know, unity, the works that he was doing, and also being a white man, okay, not us, but you know, he was able to immerse himself into us, the way we were thinking, the way and you know, it was like he was the parish. So through him, I was inspired to become a religious, and then I felt too that being a religious, I'll become like him with the people. You know, there's this thing that also I also like for myself, that to be with the people, like sharing life with the people, sharing faith with the people, that closeness, the connection with the people. And I saw that in John Stratoff, and that was the inspiration. Yeah.
Well, because yeah, once you mentioned some names were started coming to mind. I remember, may you so rest in peace, my former parish priest, Father Hugot, who was from Germany. He was an SVD.
Yes.
And Bemstebwa, who was also an SVD from Germany. And I can mention Father Campbell. And also I know a priest from Australia who worked in Pakistan, Father Roberts, who worked so many years, I think 40 years or some years in Pakistan. He is also a missionary priest. So you missionaries just go the extra mile, let me say. All priests gives their lives to Christ, to God,
exactly.
But you missionary, you go, let me say, one step ahead, out of your own comfort zone, and then do marvelous work So now let's look at the transition from Tamale straight to Papua New Guinea. How was the life? How were you able to transition into the system?
I don't know if I say it was 100% surprise or a complete 360 degrees turnaround. The transition is massive, massive, and with every implications. You know, we grow up with some kind of standards, with ambitions. You know, you see Africans or Ghanaians, we want to make things happen, you know. We don't wait for things to happen, you know. You see that fire.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
And, you know, everything. And then also, we have a way of thinking, okay, we put A plus B, we get C, okay, we can change we remove A to C, and then we get this.
We create our own system, making sure that it works for us.
Exactly. This, I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you, was the 360 turnaround, which was very, very difficult to, you know, get into it. There is an African lay missionary here from Kenya. She was sharing with me with her experiences even at work. Then I told her, my sister, relax. PNG here is like putting the cat before the horse.
Wow.
You understand? So in that order, you just have to make sure that you get to your destination anyhow.
Okay.
If you want to keep the order, it can be frustrating, headache. Everything is just hitting you emotionally, psychologically. And then the other thing too was with food. Okay. When I came, every day I was eating rice. Lunch, supper, lunch, supper. And at a point in time, I just lost appetite for rice. When I smell the rice, I feel like I want to vomit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, the weather is the same. We have the hot and then
the rainy season.
Rainy season. Okay. The vegetation, the environment is the same. Yeah. And then when you go to the villages, actually, we have a lot of the foodstuffs here: banana, cocoyam, cassava. But it is the transition, the difficult part of it is the lifestyle. Otherwise, yeah.
Father, before we run up this part of interview, I would want to find out from you, what has been the most challenging time? I know you made mention that 360 around turnover, but has there been any other challenges during your formation where at one point you said, no, let me just change from priesthood and then go and do something else?
I didn't have that in my formation. I was very, very zealous to become a priest. Okay. All right. It is not a regret that I have. I'm still very happy, fulfilled. Okay. But these days, I see myself, and then I feel like if I were somebody like Andy or the rest of the other guys, maybe I could have been something bigger than I am now as a priest. Okay. And mostly when I go on Facebook and I see friends with their family life, business, you know, like for example, he buys a car for himself, he builds a house for himself. That is what hits me, you know. It hits me because as a religious, as a priest, you cannot
own such things.
Own such things or no. And you know, these are human desire, okay? You remember when we were growing up, we have dreams for the house we want to build, as you say.
Yeah.
What car we want to,
We want to drive out. Yeah.
We sit by the roadside, and then when the cars are passing, we'll be choosing. I'll buy the Benz, I'll buy the Toyota. So these are things that occasionally hit me, especially when I see my friends on Facebook. And maybe I should add to that, I feel sometimes in a way that they are more men than I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it will. In fact, when you even those of us who are even working, and then sometimes you realize the actions that what am I doing? When you see this person having this one, but what my mom always tells me that life is not a rush, and you don't know what the person did in secret that made him got whatever he's getting. Just concentrate on what you have, focus on it, and then have good financial management. You will get there. There's no rush. There's no rush for anyone. So being content with what you have, and then pursuing, going ahead or pursuing what you want to do in future is the most important, and being content. And I think one thing you just mentioned right now, which hits me most, is the contentment. You've never regretted becoming a priest, and you're so fulfilled. Someone has 10 houses, has a job, has whatever, but the inward peace, that contentment is not there. And I think it is one of the treasures money cannot buy, or anything cannot buy. You would have to look for it, and it's hard work that will let you get that contentment, and which is a treasure. And once you have it, no one can take it away from you. Father Erick, thank you so much. In fact, let me add the SVD to it. I know in Ghana, if you mention some SVD priest and you don't add the SVD to it, you're in trouble. So always you have to SVD.
That is what he owes.
That's so. Thank you so much, Father Ankama, for your time. And we've not ended the interview. This is just the first part of it. We wanted to look at Father's vocation. At the second part of this interview, we are going to look at his missionary work, what he's doing in Papua New Guinea. My name is Augustus Akins, and thank you so much for joining us on the conversation with Augustus. God bless you, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Sometimes statement may not be clear, but there is always a deeper understanding. It is not just about the who said what. The whens, hows, and wheres are equally important. Join me on a whole new journey in the conversation with Augustus as I bring you discussions from religion to politics, health to economy, humanity to social activities, among many others. Conversation with Augustus knows no foreign borders. The show comes to you every Wednesday at 6:15 p.m. GMT on our YouTube channel Conversation with Augustus, and on Radio Angelus, www.radioangelus.com. This program was sponsored by Safe Life Experience Consult Limited. Contact them for all your travel and tour needs.